Have you ever sat at a desk for 20 minutes staring at the same email, unable to focus, and then out of nowhere you have start breathing concerning something that happened years ago? Or maybe you keep losing your keys, forgetting appointment, feeling restless, and you start wondering, why can't I just get it together? What if I told you that it's not laziness? It's not brokenness either. It could actually be that your brain is responding to something more deeper. The intersection between ADHD and unresolved trauma. I'm Justus. Today, we are unpacking one of the most misunderstood struggles out there. Why ADHD and trauma often go hand in hand. First, let's start with ADHD. What exactly it is really? Let's break it down. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It isn't just being distracted. At its core, ADHD is a brain-based condition that affects something called executive functions. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Think of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that is right behind your forehead. So think of it as the CEO of your brain. And the executive functions, these are those CEO's duties. So like planning, organizing tasks, managing time, focusing during conversations, and stopping impulsive urges before they explode. But in ADHD, that CEO might be overwhelmed. The intercom system to the rest part of the brain isn't working right. The communication system between the CEO and the other part of the brain is not working right. So tasks get dropped, emotions spill over, deadline vanish, and it's not your fault. The other half of the CEO, the part of the brain, just need a different kind of support. Research shows that in ADHD, the prefrontal cortex have trouble communicating with other parts of the brain. Plus, there is less consistent release of dopamine. That's the brain's feel-good or motivation chemical. You know what? Chemical. So there's less release of dopamine in the brain. That's why people with ADHD often seek stimulation, not to be annoying or restless, but to help their brains feel out enough to focus. Help their brain feel go enough to focus. Right now, about 5 to 7 of adults globally live with ADHD, and many don't even realize it yet. So we're talking about ADHD. What's trauma? What exactly is trauma? Trauma isn't just one big dramatic event. It's any experience at all that overwhelms your ability to cope and leaves lasting imprints on your nervous system. Think about that for a moment. Not the event, but the effects of that event on your brain. Not the event, how much that experience overwhelms your brain's ability to cope and leaving lasting imprint on your nervous system. For example, some people, trauma is a car crash, the effect of the car crash. For others, it's growing up in a chaotic home, household where love is so conditional, so it felt really conditional, or feeling like you were never safe to fully be yourself. So it isn't just what happened, it is how your brain experiences it. When trauma occurs, the amygdala, your brain alarm system gets stuck in overdrive. It stays on high alert, always watching for the next threat. That's why your brain literally rewires itself for survivors. You react faster to stress. You can't focus. You live in the future or the past, never live in the present. That's why I appreciate Dr. Bessel van der Kolk said in his book, The Body Keeps the Score. Here's what he said. Trauma is not the story of something that happened back then. It is the current imprint on your mind and body. Think of that for a moment. So, your body really keeps score. The current input in your mind and body. So how do they overlap? So what's the connection between ADHD and trauma? Picture this. A child goes up in chaotic home. The house will be yelling, silence, or unpredictability was now. The nervous system learned earlier on to stay alert, don't relax, don't trust calm moment. They became hypervigilant, always scanning for danger, next threat. Fast forward to adulthood, they struggle to focus. Think about that. Focus and pick up. That's why you see some people that want everything is calm, they are not comfortable. They are watching out for any danger to the extent that they unintentionally create that danger. They interrupt you without meaning to. They feel restless, distracted, impulsive, and ashamed of it. But here's the truth. The brain never gets to feel safe enough to develop those executive functions for you. That's the point now. So with those experiences they've gone through during their childhood, the brain never feels safe enough to develop those executive functions. Trauma and ADHD both affect the dopamine system and the H-axis, that's the part of the brain that controls your stress response. When that system is constantly on edge, it affects attention, memory, and emotional regulation. In fact, people with childhood trauma are 2 to 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD later in life. But here's the powerful part. When you understand the connection, you can start to heal. So let's watch out for some signs. So what are some signs to watch out for in adults? Even adults wondering whether ADHD and trauma might be intertwined in your life. Here are some signs to watch out for. 1. You forget things constantly, even important one. You have emotional reaction that feels too much for the situation. You feel on edge or restless, even when nothing is happening. You procrastinate, then panic, then freeze. You zone out, lose time, or dissociate often. You feel paralyzed between starting and finishing tasks. You take criticism deeply. That thing is called reaction sensitive diaspora, and it's common in ADHD. If this sounds familiar, remember I've said you are not broken. I've said that a million times. You are not broken. Your brain was doing what it's best for you. It protected you when safety wasn't guaranteed. So it's brilliant. So you are not broken. But here is the juicy part. You can do something about it. So what can you do? What can you actually do? Number 1, get a proper evaluation. Work with a mental health professional who understand both ADHD and trauma, so nothing gets misdiagnosed or missed. 2, therapy matters. Look into trauma-focused therapies like EMDR or trauma-informed CBT. These approaches help your brain safely reprocess what it couldn't before. Those things that your brain couldn't develop. This therapy helps you to reprocess that. 3, support your nervous system. Things like breath work, learning exercises, and mindful moments like walking, yoga calms the amygdala and help retain your stress response. 4th one, consider medication if that's right for you. Remember I said that you should work with a mental health professional. That was the first point I spoke about. Prescription might be given to you, so consider medication. ADHD medication can regulate dopamine and improve executive function, especially when combined with a little drum right after this video. Take 10 minutes to journal. What's one thing I now understand about myself? Think about that deeply. Write it down. Again, what's one small step I can take this week to support my healing brain? So think about that deeply. Understand your situation. Understand what you need to do for your brain, to help your brain, to support your brain that have helped you in times of need. Healing isn't about fixing what's broken, it's about supporting what's brilliant and not to be misunderstood. This is what I really want you to remember. Your brain is not broken. I've said that a million times, so I'm still saying it again. So don't be afraid your brain is broken. It's actually brilliant. Your brain learned to adapt in a world that didn't always make sense. It kept you safe when safety wasn't granted. And now, with knowledge, compassion, and support, your brain will enjoy. You can help it thrive, not just to survive. Instead of your brain stuck in surviving, no, you can help it thrive with your knowledge, compassion, and support. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you for being here today, decoding thoughts and discovering yourself with me. If this video helped you, please share it with someone that you remember that might need it. Share with anybody that you know that might need it. And if you like it, give it a like. And if you love what we are doing here, supporting our mind and our nervous system, understand ourselves more, helping our mental health, consider you will like to like what you do. Just subscribe. I'm Justus, and I'll see you in the next one.